Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really powerful argument from a leading Islamic scholar. He asks a question that's on a lot of people's minds. Why does the Muslim world so often appear fractured and frankly powerless? And more importantly, what's the path forward?
So yeah, this is the central question, right? It's the elephant in the room. And the source we're looking at today, an article by the incredibly influential scholar Maulana Khalid Saifullah Rahmani, well, he doesn't just ask the question, he provides a direct, unflinching diagnosis and a potential cure.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at who exactly is making this argument. Then, we'll trace the problem back to its historical roots to see how this disempowerment even started. From there, we'll see how that leads to what he calls a betrayal of justice, how the conflict gets deliberately misframed, and finally, what the Maulana says is the only real way out of this mess.
Okay, so let's get into it. Before we even dive into the argument, we have to understand the person behind it. Who is Maulana Rahmani? And why should we listen to what he has to say? So just take a look at these credentials. Maulana Rahmani is not some fringe voice shouting into the wind. He's a top-tier Islamic jurist, an author of more than 100 books, and he leads some of the most significant Islamic institutions in India. But here's the kicker, the really important part. He's respected across sectarian lines. That's huge. It gives his call for unity an incredible amount of weight. This isn't just an opinion. This is an analysis coming from deep within the scholarly establishment. And this is the core of his entire thesis, right here. He boils it all down to two things. He argues that the only way for the Muslim world to reclaim its dignity is by getting back to two fundamental Islamic principles: justice, or adl, and unity, or ittihad. Remember those two words, adl and ittihad? They're the foundation for everything that follows.
All right, so let's start with his diagnosis. How, in his view, did the Muslim world end up in this state of weakness in the first place?
He traces the problem back along this really clear historical line. For him, the weakness we see today wasn't an accident. It was a strategy. It began with the collapse of the Ottoman Caliphate, which represented, a kind of centralized Muslim power. After it fell, he says it was deliberately carved up by Western powers into the system we have now. Small, dependent nation-states that can't really control their own destiny. And the results of that fragmentation? Well, it's this widespread disempowerment. He describes governments, particularly in the Arab world, as being subservient, unable to act on their own. But it goes deeper than politics. He says it leads to a loss of honor and zeal, which results in, this deafening silence when it really matters, when it's time to speak out against injustice. Now, for the Maulana, this disempowerment and this silence have their most tragic and visible symptom in one place: the ongoing crisis in Palestine. He sees it as the ultimate proof of this much deeper illness. To make his point, he doesn't just talk in abstractions. This source points to this devastating number from Gaza. He uses this figure to say, look, this isn't just a political issue. This is a massive human catastrophe, and it represents a profound moral failure. And this is where his argument gets really sharp. He takes the inaction he's seeing in the world and holds it up against this core teaching from the Prophet Muhammad. His charge is incredibly direct. This sacred bond, this command to never abandon a fellow Muslim to an oppressor, is being broken. So to really get what he's saying, we have to understand what he means by justice, or adl. This isn't just about courts and laws. For him, it's one of the pillars of Islam itself. It's a divine command to love truth, to fight for fairness for everyone, and to have an active hatred for oppression. It's a moral duty, plain and simple. Okay, so if the injustice is so obvious, why is there so much inaction? Well, the Maulana argues it's because the conflict itself has been deliberately reframed to sow confusion and, most importantly, division. He claims that so many people have bought into a false narrative, that this is all just a sectarian squabble between Shia and Sunni Muslims. He completely rejects that. For him, the real fight isn't theological, it's moral. It's the zalim, the oppressor, versus the Mazlum, the oppressed. That's the only division that matters. And he does not mince words here. Calling this a Shia-Sunni fight is, in his exact words, a sin worse than sin itself. I mean, wow. That's about as strong as it gets. It shows you he believes this isn't just a political mistake, it's a moral crime designed to destroy any chance of clarity.
So if the sickness is disunity and a betrayal of justice, then the cure, logically, is a return to those very same principles. It's a powerful call to action.
And this is so important. He's very clear about what this unity, or ittihad, actually is. It's not about forcing everyone to become the same, to erase all differences. No. It's about genuine solidarity. It's about building on a common purpose that's bigger than any disagreement, grounded in mutual respect. He dives right into the thorny Sunni-Shia issue with this really practical, honest approach. He's not ignoring the differences. He puts them right there in the first column. Real historical grievances, different views on key figures. But then, look at the second column. The common ground is vast. Belief in one God, the prophets, the holy books, the afterlife. So his counsel, in that third column, is basically, yes, acknowledge the legitimate grievances on both sides, but focus your energy on the real shared threat, the oppressor.
And why does this matter so much? Because the cost of this disunity is absolutely devastating. He argues it makes even things like military might and incredible wealth totally meaningless. Nations get lost in what he calls a fog of nationalism, and in doing so, they forget that core teaching that all Muslims are supposed to be like one body, a single community, the Ummah.
And that idea of a single body is captured perfectly in this famous prophetic analogy. It's so simple yet so profound. When one part of your body hurts, your whole body feels it. It's a call for empathy to be transformed into collective action. And so this is where the Maulana's argument leaves us. It's a stark choice. Stand for justice and unite, or stay fractured and become irrelevant. It's not just a critique, it's a call to action. And it forces us to ask a really tough question. In our incredibly complex world, what does making that choice, choosing justice and unity, truly demand? Not just from nations, but from every single one of us.